Okay. Good morning, good evening, everyone. We can get started. Today, our conversation, and actually, there's going to be very little conversation. It's mostly going to be a demonstration with of our friend and returning guest, Rohit Gaikwad. And we'll get more into what today's session is going to be about. But let me just quickly cover a couple of other things. Please, even though it's a demonstration session, I know there are already questions that have come in even before the session started because people who missed the last session watched the recording and sent in questions, very practical questions about timing and all of that. So we will get to those. So type them away in the chat window and we'll answer them at the end. If you're not already a member of the Longevity Circle, consider joining it. And the link for the circle is going to be put by Sneha in the chat window. Here's the URL as well as the QR code if you are interested in taking a photograph. But Sneha has also put it in the chat window. We had the Longevity Circle physical meetup in Pune, and it was actually covered by the Pune Times, I think a couple of days back. And some of the folks who are on the call right now are actually featured in these photographs. But we've had a trek where there was a whole warm-up before, a cool-down after, questions along the way that were answered on nutrition and so on and so forth. That was a very, very fun one. There was another one that happened just last week, which was getting together at a restaurant, and everyone had a budget and had to, within that budget, pick a meal or meals that were well balanced, that were tasty, and so on and so forth. It was a lot of fun, and so it is now being recognized by the media as well. And so I'm glad that they are promoting it, because the more the people that join this, the greater the impact we can make. So if you are a resident of Pune, you don't have to be on our general forums, Community Circle 1 or Circle Connect 2. You can be on the link I have provided at the bottom. And again, Sneha will provide a link to that. This is if you are a resident of Pune, because then you get to see the Pune specific activities. When is the next meetup and so on. Okay. The other one, we have, like I mentioned last time, we are doing a similar meetup in the Bay Area. And we have now started a Bay Area community. So if you're a resident of the Bay Area and you want to get Bay Area specific notifications of things that we are going to do in the area in person, join the link there. You can then get off the Circle Connect 1 or Circle Connect 2 because it will be repetitive. And again, Sneha will put a link to that in the chat window. Our guest for next week is actually a very, very well recognized doctor from UCSF, Dr. Michael Turkin, and he's created some tools that I find very fascinating. And the next week's session is going to be quite an insightful one. Dr. Turkin has some very insightful views interesting views on how healthcare should progress in the United States in order for it to get back on track. Right now, we are way off track. And so I think you'll find his thoughts quite compelling and interesting. All right. Our speaker for today, returning guest, and like I mentioned in my message to the community, Rohit's last session was the most attended session in our now 63 episode history, and hopefully today's will even take that further. So Rohit, whatever you do and whatever you talk about is both compelling as well as very practical for the rest of us, because it's relatively the easiest intervention to integrate into our lives, right? And I think you do it so well that the number of people who have sent me messages saying, oh, if I can't make it today, can you please record it? I said, yeah, these sessions are always recorded. So today's session is going to be primarily a session of practice and of just getting comfortable with how to implement what Rohit has spoken about. And for those who may have missed it, I actually took the learnings from the session with Rohit and put a blog post on it. So, Sneha, if possible, can you also put a link to the blog post I did on breathing, which tried to capture a lot of Rohit's learnings in addition to my own experiments with breathing. So, between watching the last session or reading the blog post, you can do that offline and come up to speed. But today's session is really me not talking and Rohit, demonstrating the different techniques. So, Rohit, over to you.
Nikhil, thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity. And I was very impressed with your blog post as well. Fantastic summary. And again, I give you kudos for doing this service for the greater community. I personally am interested in doing that. So thank you for giving that opportunity. And besides me as well, all the other stuff you're doing is fantastic. And you've been a long-time friend, and I give you tremendous, commendation for, keeping up with this. You keep that energy going, and it's great for the community. So thank you very much. My real sincere thanks from me to you, and I'm sure a lot of others will echo the same sentiment, including my wife.
Thank you.
So right off the bat, again, a disclaimer, this is for educational purposes only. Please consult your own physician before you take on any of these activities. I don't know how well all your health conditions, so please be careful in doing some of these techniques. Some of them can be intense, and it's very difficult to know what you cannot do. So I will demonstrate it, I'll show you, but definitely consult your doctor before you start doing it. Okay. So before we actually start doing the techniques, I'm just going to give you some simple analogy and framework to imagine. So the first thing is, imagine your lungs to be like a balloon. Okay, it's a very simple analogy. And when you blow up the balloon, you fill air into it through the mouth. That is your nose. So remember, we always try to breathe through the nose. But what's different in this case is your diaphragm is actually pulling it down. So when you breathe in, the diaphragm pulls down. That is what creates like a vacuum suction in there. And through your nose, the air fills in so that your lungs expand. Okay, so your balloon blows up. And when you want to exhale out, you push the diaphragm up all the way, squeeze the balloon, and then breathe out through your nose. We're going to do the same thing, but the only thing I want you to focus on is how can you expand that diaphragm down as low as possible and really blow up the balloon, right? That's for deep breathing. We want to get into the lower ribs, the lower alveoli of our lungs, right? So that's deep in. And when we exhale out, what do you want to do? You want to squeeze up and really squeeze the balloon out, but you want to do it slowly. So pretend the balloon, you're letting out air. You don't want to just let out the air suddenly. You want to control it. You want to be the agent who actually lets out just a tiny bit of air and really prolong that deep breath. Okay, this is a practice. I don't expect you to, like me telling you, and you'll be able to do it, but that is what you're intending to do. So even if you don't do anything and you're taking, when people say take deep breaths, that is why whatever you inhale, you want to get your exhale 2 times longer. Can it be 3 times longer? Can you clearly extend it? And that's what you're trying to go do. Okay, that's the first thing. That's the balloon analogy for the lungs. The second is, and we see it even in Nikhil's Substack, as well as I talked about, is diaphragmatic breathing, right? That's what we talked about. But the way to tell that is you put your hand on your belly, and when you breathe in, you want to make sure that your belly is getting pushed out. There is some pressure against that hand. If you don't feel it, then you're still breathing from your chest. Okay. And the 3-part breath is always breathe in first in your belly, then your ribs, and then your chest. Okay. So you always want to fill in 3 parts: belly, ribs, chest. And when you exhale out, chest, ribs, belly. So belly exhales out last, inhales in first. Okay. Again, it's a practice. you will get there. And the third thing we need to talk about is all of these things we're going to do, which are the calming ones, which are trying to activate your parasympathetic nervous system by activating your vagus nerve. Go deep breathing. And we talked about what deep means. Deep means inhale should be as long and as deep, full. The balloon should get full. And when you exhale out, also deep breathing also means you exhale out fully. Okay, that's the main thing you want to remember. And then I'm just going to give terminology, and I'm trying to set up a lot of these things up front so that when we are actually doing it, you don't get that break in there. So in pranayama, one of the key things is also breath holds. Okay, so there are two types. The breath holds or breath retention is called kumbhaka. Okay, and there are two kumbhakas. One is antara kumbhaka. So when you actually inhale and then you hold, that's antara kumbhaka. And when you exhale and you do it at the bottom of the breath, that is the bahya kumbhaka. Bahya is outside, bahya kumbhaka, antara is inside, and you hold it. Okay, so those are the two things. So to start off, what I like to do is, I'm not going to demonstrate a lot of pranayamas. I'm going to demonstrate about 5 to 6. Those are good, healthy ones, and there are many variations around it that I will tell you. You can always extend this practice in many ways that you wish to. But these are, to me, some of the foundational ones. And if you keep doing these on a regular basis, so the main thing is consistency. Okay, that is the main thing I want you to remember. It's about being consistent, and then in your own body, whatever you can do, then you can extend it, you can expand it, you can go longer duration or the same thing longer, right? So you do you, what works for you. Okay, so let's start with, I always like to start the practice with simple 3 ohms. Okay, hopefully everybody knows Om. And what we are going to simply do is, again, take a deep breath in and then a long Om. And the idea is, the first thing is you want to be sitting up straight. You can be sitting in a chair. I'm sitting in a chair. Folks who are comfortable on the floor, you can be sitting in a Sukhasana pose. You can be, basically the idea is sit comfortably, but your spine should be erect, straight. Okay, that's the main thing. And the second part is, which I forgot to tell you, Nikhil, is that you want to do pranayama on not a full stomach. So I don't know folks who have recently eaten. So you at least want a 2-hour gap between your food, the last meal, and when you're doing breath work. Okay, so in general, remember that. And so you may or may not be able to do these to the same extent right now. Okay, so deep breath in and then a long Om out. Okay, so let's do one breath and I'll lead you through the second and third one. Okay, so take I like to always keep my hand on your belly, one hand on the belly, to make sure that you're doing diaphragmatically breathing, and the other hand on the chest. Okay, deep breath in. One more time. Last time. Okay, so really see, you breathe in and really emptied it out. Okay, now before we start into the actual some of the pranayams.
Rohit? can I
Yeah,
ask
go ahead.
one question?
Yeah.
I noticed that when I was doing it, there was a lot of tension. Like I was building tension in my shoulders, like almost like bracing for impact. Is that something to look out for? It doesn't matter.
You should not. So right now we are just grounding and arriving. So if you are feeling, a little bit tension, so everybody is going to be different. But the idea is you're arriving here. So as you do Om, you are kind of arriving. So you'll feel different emotions because depending on how you breathe, you may feel some of the tension in different parts of your body. So it will get better as you practice, right? It will get better. So the first thing is, before we get into these, so now, if you don't mind, I would like you to share that slide number 22, because that's an important piece of the puzzle, and I did not do justice to it last time. So my wife does want me to spend 2 minutes on it. Perfect. So what I want to share with everyone is pranayama is the fourth limb out of the Ashtanga, 8 limbs yoga. And since I'm a yoga practitioner, I do want folks to understand that pranayama is not something done in a vacuum. I know we are trying to look at it as a breathwork session, and I do talk about it in the breathwork context of it. But for me, pranayama is an integral part of your yogic practice. And there are 7 other limbs which are equally deep. And a lot of things is about gratitude, meditation, postures, asanas. So all of this thing together is what really is holistic living. And those are completely other lectures by themselves. And I can go very deep into that. But I want folks to remember that pranayama is one of the limbs out of this yogic system, which is extremely rich, complex, but extremely rewarding. So as you do this breath work, if you can try to do some of the other things in here, that will also give you, I would say, a lot of centering in your life and a lot of benefits. Okay. So pranayama is, remember, fourth limb of the Ashtanga yoga that came from the deep, rich traditions from the Himalayas. Okay. So with that, let's move to the first yogic breath, right? And I'm not going to read through all the other ones. They are on the screen, you can see. And I want to talk about how I do pranayama. Maybe I'll do it at the end, but just give a brief overview of what I try to do. Limited. Yeah, go ahead.
Would you like me to keep the slide up? Because when I keep the slide up, they won't be able to see you as clearly.
No, yeah, you can stop sharing, yes.
Okay.
Because for the next one, they want to see. So now, before we do it, I'm going to introduce this technique. It's called Kapalbhati, and it's actually completely different, and it's anti what we talked about. So in Kapalbhati, what you do is you breathe in normally, but you're exhaling out forcefully, rapidly. So you're basically going, and what you really want to make sure is your belly is going in, your navel is getting pulled closer to your spine, okay? And you want it to be forceful, and your diaphragm is basically getting lifted up and down, okay? So when you inhale, it goes down, and when you exhale forcefully, it's going to get pushed up, right? That is what Kapalbhati is, okay? And we're going to do it together, but I want to explain the science behind it. Okay, why are we doing such a technique? Because you're actually blowing off a lot of carbon dioxide, right? We talked about retaining carbon dioxide. We're going to take deep breaths. In this, I'm not taking deep breaths. We're actually dumping out a lot of carbon dioxide. Why do we do that? And I like to do that at the beginning. And the main reason for this is, now there are 3 parts reason to it. What you're trying to do is prime your system to clean out all the toxins and all the deoxygenated blood from your brain, as well as, and this is Kapalbhati. So Kapalbhati is skull shining breath, okay? We'll talk about it. So literally all the old blood that is there, you want to kind of flush out the system. So this is about flushing the system. How does that go? Remember, as you start dumping out a lot of carbon dioxide, the oxygen is now going to stay sticky to the hemoglobin, right? So there is oxygen circulating, but that oxygen cannot get downloaded into your brain tissue because you're not you're dumping out carbon dioxide quickly. What does that do? That basically creates deoxygenated blood, right? And that deoxygenated blood now is circulating, and your brain tissue and other muscle cells are not getting oxygen. At the same time, you're creating this lymphatic pump, right? It's a mechanical piston, but instead of just the normal piston, you really push it hard. And when you do a mechanical piston pumping hard, you actually suck out all this deoxygenated blood and cerebrospinal fluid into your organs here, into the blood, and push it out. So you're basically circulating it out of your body by pulling it down from all these, from your brain and other tissues. So this is essentially a, and the second part is also vasoconstriction starts happening because you're not putting enough nasal nitric oxide in your body, and the carbon dioxide is also getting pumped out. So all of these things lead to essentially your toxins that you're pulling out, and then you're trying to pump them and back into your bloodstream. So they will get filtered through your kidneys and other organs. Okay, so that's what Kapalbhati is. And again, people say, okay, how does that fit into? So you will see many other techniques like that, like Bhastrika. So those also have a place in pranayama, but you need to know how to sequence them. Okay, so what we're going to do is, as soon as you finish Kapalbhati, and we'll do it for 30 seconds, right after that, I will cue is right after that, we're going to do Antara Kumbhaka. So you take a deep breath in and then you hold. So now what that is going to do is, as you hold, you're going to now let a lot of carbon dioxide build up in your body. And that carbon dioxide now suddenly is going to unlock all that oxygen, which is now sticking for a long time to the hemoglobin. And now there is a rush. There is a rush of fresh blood to all your organs, and specifically to your brain. And that is the time you will feel, or you're supposed to feel, the skull shining breath. So you feel this skull shining breath in your head. That's the whole thing. But you have to do it in the right sequence. Of course, if you keep doing Kapalbhati, just the Kapalbhati for a long time, you will get dizzy because you're depriving oxygen to your brain. So don't overdo it. Do it to the extent that you don't get dizzy, and then slowly practice and get into it, right? And the longer you hold at the end of it, you will feel the blood flowing, and your ability to hold will be better and better over time. But especially after Kapalbhati, it's very good because your body is craving to build that carbon dioxide. Okay. All right. With that, let's do 30 seconds of Kapalbhati. Every person is different in the speed and pace with which they can pump the Kapalbhati. In general, just remember, even if you can stick to one pump every second, so I will keep it a little bit on the lower side, but folks are welcome to pump hard. It's you do you again. All right. So let's start. Okay, 30 seconds are up. Deep breath in and hold. Okay, so hopefully at least some of you felt the skull shining part of it. But in case you didn't, you just know that you need to go a little bit longer, a little bit deeper. But hopefully the theory is clear about it. And the last thing which I forgot to mention is, as you pump again, remember the diaphragm, you're also activating your vagus nerve. Now, in this case, you're not trying to calm or stimulate, but it does get stimulated.
Rohit, one
Yeah.
question. When you were doing the Kapalbhati, the breath, the 1 second, this thing, were you taking a quick short breath and breathing out, or were you just only breathing out?
Yes. So your breath in is not something that you control. That's a natural breath.
Okay.
So you're only controlling in Kapalbhati the breath out. Okay. So only the breath out is, your breath in is normal. In other techniques, you're also doing like Bhastrika, you'll control your in and your out, like forceful in and out. I personally like Kapalbhati better because it's really all you're trying to do is dump out carbon dioxide, and that's easier. You don't have to control right on the inside.
So by the end of that 30 seconds, should you be feeling breathless because you're only been mostly breathing out the...
Yes, you should. So again, everybody is different. Like my capacity now, it will grow over time. It's just like any practice, is that if you do it more, then your capacity grows. But the main thing is the way you'll see the result is once you hold after that, you should feel that tingling in your head. If you feel that tingling in your head, that means that blood did rush to your brain, right? How much to feel it, how deep to go, everybody's going to vary. Depends on any whatever health conditions you have. Check with your doctor. Again, I keep saying that, very, very important. You may or may not be able to go that deep and that fast, right? But I'm trying to tell you what the theory behind it is and why it is important.
Yeah.
So this one, what we did, Kapalbhati or Bhastrika, these techniques are really activating your sympathetic nervous system. Like this is the fight or flight. That's what we activated now. And now we are going to start getting into the slow calming. So we flushed out our system, got oxygenated blood into our brain, and now we start doing the relaxing techniques, right? The really calming techniques. So the first one there, which I like to do, is the Samavritti or box breathing. Okay. And in this case, again, it's very simple, is that we're going to pause through each section. So 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds exhale, 4 seconds hold. And we repeat this for some time. And then let's say you get comfortable at it. So now this is where I'm going to give you guys more variations. So you start with 4, then you slowly get deeper. Can you go 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 6? Okay. So as you get better, you start slowly, gently increasing it. So it's just like strength training. When you're doing 3 sets, you don't want to do each set equally heavy. You want to start out slow, and then you want to progressively load. In this case, it's the same thing. Start with 4, and then you can go 5, 6, 7. I mean, it's your own playground, and you will get benefit as you are able to go deeper into it. Okay, so let's do the 4 one. Okay, so since I'll be counting, I will not be necessarily be able to do the breaths with you guys, but I'll count so that you guys can all keep counting. Okay, and the way I'm going to do it is my inhale or exhale, whatever I say is really the count 1. So after that, I'll count 2, 3, 4. Okay, so inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Return to normal breathing. Okay. So how long should you do these? So again, a simple question. How long should you do this? Any of these techniques. What I will tell you, what I do, you can always change it. I'm not necessarily an expert on what that duration is. I keep to these. Kapalbhati is not something I do every day. I will do it once a week. Okay, just to let you know. All the other stuff, starting with Om and ending with Om, and these 4, 5 techniques that I'm going to give you, I usually do it in 10 minutes. So roughly 2 minutes per. That's it. And the idea is at that time, at the same time, again, I meditate. So think about it. Meditation is all about getting your focus locked onto something. And at the same time, I'm breathing. So I try to focus on my lungs expanding and everything. So what that does automatically, since I have to focus on my breath, my thoughts are not going anywhere else. So I combine my pranayama with my meditation. Okay. So just a suggestion, if that works for you, try it out. Okay, so that was Samavritti or box breathing. And the concept is you keeping everywhere the same thing. Inhales, exhales, same thing. And the holds, the Antara Kumbhaka and the Bahya Kumbhaka, also you're doing the same thing. It is again a calming, we are starting to activate our parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. Any questions before we move to the next one? Okay, all good. All right. Then the next one is, now we go a little bit deeper, and it's the 4, 7, 8 breathing. Okay. And I like to do my own slight modification is that 4 inhales, count of 4 is inhales, 7 holds, right? Count of 7 is a hold, and 8 is a exhale. But the exhale, traditional, technical, if you read, is through the mouth. But I like to keep it through the nose, okay? Because again, everything I've read, I like to just keep it through the nose. So it's your choice, but I like to keep it through the nose. And in this also, you practice this. So 4, 7, 8, you get really good at it. And then you want to, variations, you want to go higher. Yes, you can go higher. And the way to go higher is you scale proportionately. That's roughly what you should remember. So if you go 4, 7, 8, you want to go 5, 8, 10. Okay. Then whatever, 6, 10, 12. Okay. You guys get the picture. It doesn't have to be super accurate. We are not trying to do fractional breaths. You scientists out there, you just want to be, roughly proportional to it, so that your exhales, remember, have to be double the time of your inhale. That's the key thing. Okay. And everybody's lung capacity, breathing ability, how much, remember, balloon and how much air you let out, it's all a practice, right? There are some people who can go really long, and that's not because their lungs are just massive. They've mastered the art of just leaving just the smallest of air and keep holding that carbon dioxide in their body for a long time. Okay. So, but that's why it's a practice. So let's do the 4, 7, 8 breathing. I will guide you through that in a similar way. Inhale, hold, and exhale. And slowly, at some point, I will switch over to the higher thing. I will not keep going too much higher. We'll do a couple of higher stuff, but I just want to show you that, yes, you can step it up. Okay. All right. 4, 7, 8 breathing. Let's start with inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Return to normal breathing. Okay. Hopefully, folks were able to follow and really get into this time a little bit deeper breathing and really control it. Okay. I'm not like perfect in like every second counts, but hopefully it's steady and people are able to follow. Okay. So what we did with box breathing and 478 breathing, again, calming, we're trying to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, get our vagus nerve activated, and start to calm down, right? It's all about that. The next one also, we're going to do that. But again, now we're going to move to Bhramari, right? Bhramari, which is the humming bee breath. And the concept here is, again, it's same deep breaths, but what are we going to do? We're going to do hum, right? So humming bee sound when you're making, the easiest way. So first of all, I would like to make sure, again, when you're doing Bhramari, you're still breathing through your nose. There is a lot of confusion about this, but when you're exhaling out, you're still exhaling through your nose. But the only difference is you're pretend you're trying to force air, and you're not going to be actually be able to do it, but you're trying to get the air into your ear canals. So you're trying to get this humming sound by trying to push air into your ear canals, and that is what creates that humming sound. And as we talked about, it is an scientifically proven to 15 times increase nitric oxide production, right? You do want to do this. This should be an integral part of your pranayama practice. Excellent vasodilator, tremendous benefits everywhere through your cardiovascular system, all sorts of places by doing Bhramari. Okay. But always remember, when you're doing Bhramari, you're not, another part I see is people miss the thing is they try to do it too fast. It's not a Kapalbhati or anything. You're still in a parasympathetic state. So you're still doing deep breaths in. So just like Om, deep breaths out. The only difference is we are doing it through the humming sound. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate one, okay, and then everybody can follow. Okay, so deep breath in, and then Bhramari. You do you at your own pace. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you some variations of it, lots of variations in this. You can always add a hold. So you can hold at the top, right? And then do Bhramari. You can inhale for 4, exhale Bhramari for 8, right? And with a hold optional in between, just like 4, 7, 8. So really, this is your own playground. What feels good in your body? If you feel good holding, always remember the ultimate extent of the parasympathetic nervous system is all about, if you look at this as a cycle of in and out, when you return back to your in, are you able to extend that? That cycle is what you're trying to extend. So in between, if you're holding at the bottom or you're holding at the top or you're really elongating your exhale, that has to feel good within your body, right? Because everything, all of this stuff is ultimately what feels good in your body, and you're trying to build that carbon dioxide and really get control of your breath. Okay, so I'm not a strictler like it has to be done this way because it says so in a book or something. I strongly believe that you have to get the gist of it correct, which is important. You have to be humming, but can you extend it here? Can you hold a little bit longer? Can you double the exhale to the inhale? Can you now go more deeper? So you do you and see what works for you. But the longer you're humming, you're going to find the benefits out of it. And again, cannot emphasize this enough, consistency. Consistency over volume, meaning if you can give 20 minutes every other day, I would rather you give 10 minutes every day. Okay, that's what consistency simply means. And then the last one is, now we are coming out of the trying to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, getting really calming, to a little bit different, which is what I like to finish with, which is the very popular and very important one, which is the Nadi Shodhana, okay, or alternate nostril breathing. And the concept here is very important. So your body automatically, about 90 to 120 minutes, it's kind of decides which nostril is dominant. Okay, it's not like, but it switches this nostril which is dominant. What we're going to do with one nostril breathing is really regulate that each side. So when you breathe through your right, which is the Pingala, you're activating your left brain. So your left brain is has more dominant analytical, rational thinking. And when you're breathing through your left nostril, which is the Ida, you're activating your right brain, which is the creative seat of creation and intuition. And what you want to do by forcing breathing of these is you want to make sure both those hemispheres are activated and they come in equilibrium, because you give each of them equal time. And the idea behind this is you don't want to be too anxious by just being so calm, but neither do you want to be jittery. So you're basically trying to balance out the both things, and you will end up in a state of calm alertness. So you're calm, but you're still alert, because you want to basically be centered between your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system. And that grounding, right, that word of grounding, or that grounding means is about balance. So now you're coming into balance. You activated one side heavily by parasympathetic. Remember, we started with Kapalbhati, which activated sympathetic a whole lot. Then we did a lot of parasympathetic by that. And that's very important, because the rest of the day, typically in this busy world, we are activating a lot of sympathetic, because we are always fight or flight, like, oh, am I going to miss my train? Am I going to miss my flight? Right? So that's why we do a lot more parasympathetic. But at the end, I like to do come back out of it in a grounded state. So you're in equilibrium. And that's where Nadi Shodhana is important. So I'm trying to connect the reasoning behind what we are trying to go do. And so for Nadi Shodhana, what I like to do is use the Vishnu Mudra, or whatever, at least modified Vishnu Mudra. So you want to put your um, index finger and your middle finger right at your third eye. Okay, if you guys can do it, or you can do your, and then you're going to use your thumb and then your third finger or your little finger to control your left nostril. So right nostril with your thumb. uh, Again, people usually get tired also. They use the right hand, sometimes left hand. So depends on whatever you're comfortable with. But I'm a dominant right hand person, so I use this. So I'm going to demonstrate one out of this. It's very simple. So you start off with right nostril blocked, right? Actually, let's do it together. So let's just get comfortable. So your two fingers right on your third eye, right between your eyes on your forehead. Block your right nostril with your thumb, right? Inhale through your left, and then block your left nostril and exhale through the right nostril. Inhale right, exhale left. Inhale left, exhale right. 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 Inhale right, exhale left. Return to normal breathing. Okay. Uh, Again, I like to split this all into 2 minutes equally for my 10-minute practice, but you do you. If you feel really I like this one, there's no hard and fast as far as I'm concerned. You can extend it, you can do more. Same thing, lots of variations. You can do holds in this stuff at the top or the bottom. You can go deeper on your exhales, but you always want to go exhales deeper and inhales. Whatever you're doing, inhale, try to deepen the exhale and mix it up with holds. But the key part in Nadi Shodhana, which is very, very important, is you must, whatever you do on your left, you must do on your right. Because remember, we're trying to bring our left brain and right brain in harmony, in synchronization. We want to put the same amount of breath work into each of them. So your left nadi and right nadi are balanced. That balance is what we are going for. Okay. So these are the main 5 ones we covered. So let's just repeat, right? Kapalbhati, Samavritti, box breathing, 4-7-8 breathing, Bhramari, and Nadi Shodhana. Okay. So these are the fundamentals of what I like to do, what I wanted to talk about here, given the time and practice. And hopefully you got the hang of it. You can always look at the video. And more importantly, you can have variations of it. So we will finish with, again, 3 ohms to finish the practice. Again, the same thing, try to go as deep as possible for you. Okay, so let's start. Inhale. 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 All right. Thank you very much. Nikhil, back to you.
Thank you, Rohit. This was brilliant. I want to share how I'm feeling, and I'd love for people to also share how they feel. I wrote about all of this, but I got to practice it I think, the right way, because I've been trying to do it, but today's sensations, how I feel, are different than how I've been feeling so far. So obviously there is the practice, the practical practice of doing it, and I think this came out so beautifully. The two things that I noticed: one, I almost felt so relaxed that if someone said go to sleep now, I could. Okay, not now, but in the middle. Now again, I feel a sense of alertness, but in the middle, there was that feeling of, wow, I'm very relaxed, and I want to check on my aura afterwards. It shows you your stress levels, right? I'm pretty sure it'll show, and that I'm very relaxed. The second thing that I observed is I am right now breathing very, like, there's just this calmness in my breath by the end of it. And so I feel like I'm ready to take on the world, which I guess is what the objective is, right? You should feel that. I think what you called it, calm alertness.
Yes.
Right. And I think that calm alertness is a good feeling.
Yeah.
So one other thing, and this maybe just my observation, but you have this voice, Rohit, which is very calming. And I wonder if I can find a way to get that, because as I was listening to you, it felt very calming. It wasn't, like the Indian news channels where you feel like you're always in sympathetic fight or flight mode when you hear people talking, and you have this very calming voice. So somehow we need to record it. And in fact, because this session is going to be recorded, it could even be played as audio when I want to follow along.
Yeah, thank you. My wife always tells me that when I start talking, she can fall asleep.
Different context. But Rohit, let me just go through the questions that have come up.
Sure.
Well, the first one was from Subaraidu. He said, lovely slide. This was a slide 22. Can you please share this slide for download? Is this something?
Yeah, I don't mind you sharing that one slide. Yes.
Yeah, just that slide I will put on the community. Thank you for sharing that. Swati Tikika, she's a doctor. She says CSF circulates only in the central nervous system. So what do you mean when you say CSF can be pulled down?
Okay, so essentially, again, this is my limited stuff. I'm sure she is a doctor. Is that when you're pumping the diaphragm, it is trying to put pressure on that thing to be pulled down. So it is getting some circulation in your cerebrospinal fluid. So it may not be coming all the way down, but getting it pulled and getting it some kind of pressure is what you're trying to do by getting some traction within that.
Yeah, got it. Anita Satish, she is the head coach at the South Asian Heart Center. And she asked, in box breathing, are we taking breath in lungs only or stomach too?
You always are trying to do diaphragmatic breathing. So yes, you are always trying to, and that's why as much as you can place on your belly, you do want to see your belly go out. Yes. even in box breathing, all the breathings. Yes.
In all the breathings, right? And so I was trying to, because I realized that's the one thing that I have to actively think about, because I'm so used to doing the, I would say, chest breathing, that every time when you said, now take a breath in, I have to focus on, oh, is my stomach going out? And is it starting from there, moving through the ribs, like you said, and then to the chest, right? Versus just, which is mostly coming from the chest, right? So that's, I think, actively we have to think about it.
And you have to, again, you have to practice it. And then as you practice it and practice it, you will, it become second nature.
Yeah. Janas asked, what postures and breathing techniques can increase blood pressure and should be done under supervision by people with hypertension?
So this is where I am not an expert. So this goes to the next level, like which of these techniques, how much can you do depending on, let's say blood pressure or hypertension. I would say this is where you need to take this to your doctor, because again, there are very specifics of what your condition is, and then get recommendations from them.
Yeah, I think that's a worthwhile thing to always keep in mind, especially when you have specific issues like hypertension and so on.
Yeah.
Aarti's question, Aarti is a fellow COEPN, Rohit. For Nadi Shodhana, is it a deep or a shallow breathing, or are we focusing on the alternate breathing over depth of the breath?
I personally like to always keep it deep enough, right? But remember, in this, the main thing is whatever you do, you want to keep it balanced. That's the key part. So as I said, if you hold on left, you want to hold on the right as well. I personally, even though it's towards the end and you're grounding, for me, based on my lifestyle, I always still like to keep it in each left and right side, continue to activate my parasympathetic nervous system, because sympathetic is getting activated all the time in the real world. So as I'm trying to get to this balance of calm and alertness, I still try to go deeper and longer on the exhales and a little bit of holds. I don't do too many holds in this. So if you ask me, don't do any holds, but not shallow. I would not do just shallow. I would like to keep it at least normal to a little bit deeper.
Yeah. And I think it's good as a reminder, the point you made in the last session, which again, you sort of reiterated this one, which is the ratio of the breath in versus the breath out is what matters in some sense the most, because breath in increases heart rate, breath out reduces heart rate. So the whole parasympathetic nervous system slows down as the longer your breaths out.
Right. And that's what is really hitting your vagus nerve, getting it activated as you put long holds into it, long exhales into it.
Trupti says, this was so serene. The way you explained the science behind it was just incredible. Thank you, Trupti. NS says, in Kapalbhati, do we do a deep inhale before doing exhale pumps?
No. So this is good question. No, it is, you're not trying to deep inhale. Kapalbhati is very natural breath. So you let the air come in naturally to you, how it comes in. So you're not trying to have any control your in breath. You're only controlling your out breath. Inhale will happen naturally.
Yeah. And
I had it through your nose.
Correct. I had a similar sensation that, and I think the key takeaway I had from what you said was, in your case, you've been doing it long enough, so you could do the 30 breaths out. For us in the beginning, maybe we can only do 10 breaths out, and that's okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I didn't know it was, I just picked 30. I mean, I can go longer, but okay. If 30 doesn't work, doesn't matter. Do 10.
Yeah.
Do what works for you.
Yeah. And the key is you do it with a normal breath, because if I wanted to get 30, I would have to take a deep breath in, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
Kushal's comment, a very informative and insightful session. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your valuable knowledge and experiences. I truly appreciate the guidance and opportunity to learn from you. Thank you, Kushal. Tanmay, also a fellow COAPN, in the Bhramari, I've seen instructions that ask you to put your fingers on the cartilage between your cheek and ears. That seems to intensify the humming sound internally. What is your experience / recommendation?
Good question again. So this is like advanced practices. So in yoga and in pranayama, there are a lot of mudras. So they are called mudras. So where you will like block your ears, you will block your mouth even. So all those intensify or amplify the experience, right? And the concept is, again, this is part of the yoga's concept, is you're trying to get your senses out of the picture, right? So you don't want to hear anything. You don't want to make sure anything comes out of your mouth. Your eyes are closed. So all the mudras are trying to go do is really with your fingers, wherever you can. They're trying to block those sensory inputs coming in. And then they also amplify this Bhramari feeling, because your ears are closed. If you can do it, if it works for you, great. Absolutely. You can always take it to the next level. But mudras is a whole concept itself in yoga, as well as in pranayama and in asanas.
Sudarshan, who is your batchmate from GIP, says, what is the clinically proven benefit of pranayama versus meditation versus both combined? In other words, if one is in a hurry, which would benefit more?
Ooh, I can expect Sudarshan to ask such a question. I'm going to say I have not looked at the literature to say which one gives more benefits versus other. They both have different, I would say, emphasis points, right? So pranayama is really physical. You're impacting physiology in there. Meditation has to also do a lot with your mind and the benefits for your mind. So I wouldn't even know how to compare the two and where the benefit lies. And some people are very calmly grounded in their mind, meaning they're constantly mindful. They are always in the present moment. Maybe they don't need meditation. Who am I to say that? But pranayama has definitely physiological benefits. So I would say, we need to bring someone on the show who has actually looked at the medical latest research on this stuff and whatever. I actually participated in one study on just to give my blood and look at the markers and stuff. But there are a lot of organizations which are actually doing blind studies and stuff like that on this stuff. But I don't know the actual research out there, what it says.
There's a question that was sent on the community itself, which I think one of which you have answered. How long after meals can you do the breathing? And you said at least 2 hours.
Yes,
right?
At least 2 hours.
Which are the ones that should be done before sleeping and which ones on waking up? But from what you described, Rohit, you do it in one session. Do you do it typically in the morning or in the evening?
I typically do it in the evening because that's when I have the time. Again, everybody is different. You do it in the morning whenever you get time. And as I said, I don't do Kapalbhati all the time because that's very intense and generates a lot of heat, and it's an intense thing. So I do it that once a week.
Got it. And I think the closing comment from Nadia, who is a yoga teacher herself. Thank you, Rohit, and thank you, Nikhil, for bringing on such amazing speakers. This is also close and dear to my heart. So thank you, Nadia. And, again, I'd love for the community to show their love for what this session has meant. I think this is brilliant. We will try and capture the notes as we always do for those who want to summarize it, because there's so much rich information. And the video obviously will go live, and I'll share it with you, Rohit, offline whenever the video gets created on Saturday.
All right. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Rohit. And thank you, everybody. Good night.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.